You all know I'm a very humble person. One of the most humble persons, the most humble people that you will ever meet. But sometimes on the show, I have to say, I told you so. And if I were to say it brings me no pleasure saying that, I would be lying. What? Have to say I told you so when it comes to Fani Willis versus Donald Trump. Ever since this Fani Willis came onto the radar here on the channel, I've been telling you guys, and we've been talking about how all roads lead to Fani Willis. And I said this even before 4547 was brought back into office. I said, if Donald Trump gets into office, I can guarantee you with zero doubt that Fani Willis is going to be in his, I won't use that term. Fani Willis is going to be on his list of people that he's going to look into. Now, we're finally hearing that Fani Willis may be getting some records subpoenaed when it comes to travel. What? Why is that important? We're going to get into in a second. I mentioned here on the channel several times, Fani Willis and Andre Dickens going to the White House to meet with the then vice president. We'll get there in a second. Y'all check this out.
But we begin tonight with breaking news out of the nation's capital. The New York Times reporting tonight that the Justice Department has subpoenaed travel records from Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Those records reportedly from around the time of last year's election when Willis traveled overseas. The Times says it's part of a federal grand jury subpoena, and grand jury proceedings are secretive by law. DA Willis charged President Donald Trump in an election interference case, which accused him and his allies of trying to steal votes in an attempt to win the election. A state appeals court said she was disqualified from overseeing the case due to a personal relationship with the attorney she hired to run it. Last week, the Georgia State Supreme Court upheld the decision. Now, we have reached out to the Justice Department, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the Fulton County District Attorney's Office, and Willis's attorney. So far, there has been no response. We'll keep following the story and bringing you any updates as soon as we get them.
All right, so here we go. All roads lead to Fani. I told y'all this. I told you guys this. I told you guys this. When I saw Joe Biden handing out these pardons, I said, Joe, you need to give Fani a pardon, because she was the one that actually had the nerve to indict the, at the time, former president and now current president, Donald Trump. She went to the White House. She met with the vice president, Kamala Harris. She went there with the mayor of Atlanta, and it's just not good. It's not going to look good. She had this man put in chains. He got his mugshot. There were people locked up here in Fulton County involved in this camp. She tried to get Lindsey Graham. What? I mean, this is just bad. And now they're looking for travel records, which to me can only mean one thing. They want to figure out where Fani was when this all went down, when this happened, and they're just laying the foundation for eventually indicting the person that, in some's opinion, falsely indicted President Trump. Now check this out. From Atlanta News First, we're going to get a little bit more background.
A sign that Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is President Donald Trump's next target. I'm Blair Miller.
And I'm Tracy Hutchins. The Justice Department just subpoenaed her travel records. Atlanta News First, Niamani Watson is live outside the Fulton County Courthouse. And Niamani, this comes just one day after the indictment of another one of President Trump's political enemies.
And we're actually going to get into the past here in a second. I think the news is wrong. I think they are misinformed. Who cares about where Fani Willis was traveling overseas when she was on a cruise? I think they're looking to see when she went to the White House and when she met with the vice president, because that's going to be important and key into indictments moving forward and possible indictments that may be out now. So that's why she was subpoenaed here. And we actually got to hear some of that evidence when Fani Willis was on the witness stand and being held accountable for how she handled this entire Trump indictment in the first place. But let's keep it going.
Yesterday, former FBI Director James Comey was indicted in connection to the Russian interference investigation in the 2016 election. But according to the New York Times, this inquiry into Fani Willis's travel records show that the Justice Department may be investigating another one of President's old enemies. Now, the inquiry is being led by the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia. They're seeking Willis's travel records from around the time of last year's election. It's unclear if Willis is the target of the inquiry or if she will face any charges. Willis brought charges against Trump and 18 co-defendants, accusing them of attempting to reverse the results of the 2020 election in Georgia. She was officially removed from the case last week due to a personal relationship she had with a lawyer who was also working on the case. President Trump called it a great decision and said she should be prosecuted.
It was a great decision. It was a rigged case to start off with. It's great. The court just ruled that she is a disaster. She should be put in jail. She's a criminal. Fani Willis is a criminal.
The president calls her Fanny too. I think that's hilarious. I'm sorry. I know, 300 years of oppression. I'm sorry. It's funny to me. Sorry, guys.
A spokesperson for Willis told the New York Times that they are not aware of any investigation, and she maintains she did nothing wrong. We reached out to both Willis and the U.S. Attorney's Office for comment. We are waiting to hear back. Live outside of the Fulton County Courthouse, I'm Niamani Watson, Atlanta News First.
Oh, and it gets better. Again, we've got a little bit more information. I have 2 articles for you guys that we're going to get into. Because if you remember, Fani Willis, she was doing a lot of traveling, a lot of going back and forth, was having different conversations, and the planning of this indictment had to take place, right? Who do you think she was getting her information from? And eventually, is this going to lead up to an indictment against Kamala Harris? What? Who knows?
Also following some major developments from the Department of Justice in what appears to be an investigation into Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. The New York Times reporting the Department of Justice has issued a subpoena for records connected to the DA. And good day's Lindsay Tuman joining us live this morning on those developments. Hey, Lindsay.
Here we go.
Hey, good morning to you, Caitlin. Yeah, this is certainly a story that we've been following for quite some time, starting last December when the district attorney was initially taken off this court case by a lower court. And then last week, of course, we saw the Georgia Supreme Court declining her appeal to stay on the case. Now the Department of Justice seems.
Yeah, and just to be clear again, I hate to correct the news, but it wasn't decline. They didn't even hear it. Fani Willis said, "Hey guys, I feel like I should be on this case." And the Court of Appeals was like, we're not, we've already been through this, Fani. Please just take the L, go away. You're not getting back on this case. All right.
Declining her appeal to stay on the case. Now the Department of Justice seems to be getting involved, and even the president weighing in on all of this.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis could be facing more questions. According to the New York Times, the Department of Justice has issued a subpoena for records connected to DA Willis. The grand jury subpoena is requesting travel records of when they believe Willis was abroad last fall. Willis at the time was prosecuting President Donald Trump and 18 co-defendants in the 2020 election RICO case. In December of last year, a lower case barred her from the case due to a romantic relationship with then Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade. And just last week, the Georgia Supreme Court declined to hear her appeal to stay on the case. President Trump made it clear how he felt about her removal from the case.
What Fani Willis did to innocent people, patriots that love our country, by indicting them, destroying them, she should be put in jail.
It's not clear if this means Willis is the target of an inquiry or if she could face charges.
Oh, she is.
But President
Shout
Trump posted on Truth Social, calling Willis and others who prosecuted him, quote, criminals who will hopefully pay serious consequences for their illegal actions.
It's not a list, but I think there'll be others. I mean, they're corrupt. These were corrupt, radical left Democrats.
Well, the prosecuting attorney's council of Georgia has not yet picked a replacement for that election interference case. Of course, we'll keep you updated on that. And in terms of this.
Yeah, and I don't think there's going to be a replacement, in my opinion. I mean, they could to opt to moving on and have someone else try this. No one's going to want to try this. No one's going to want to see this through. I don't think it's going to happen. Let's get to this article from Fox News, and then we'll listen to this video, which I think is very important. Department of Justice subpoenas Fulton County DA Fani Willis's travel records, according to the New York Times. What did they say? Check it out.
Report claiming the Department of Justice has issued a subpoena for records connected to Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis. Good evening. Thank you for joining us tonight for Fox 5 News at 10. I'm Courtney Bryant. The report states the federal grand jury subpoena wants records related to Willis' travel history. Now, it's unclear whether Willis is the target of the inquiry or whether she would face charges. But you'll recall Willis indicted President Donald Trump and others in the 2020 election interference case in August of 2023. The report says federal investigators want records of travel they believe she took abroad last fall. Last week,
I don't think that's it. Again, guys, I'm not buying that. I don't know why they keep reporting this. I think it has to do with her visiting the White House. Although we already have information on that we're going to get into here.
The Georgia Supreme Court declined to hear her appeal to remain on the election interference case. A lower court barred her from prosecuting the president because of her romantic relationship with then special prosecutor Nathan Wade. After the Supreme Court ruling, President Trump called Willis and others who prosecuted him, quote, criminals who will hopefully pay serious consequences for their illegal actions. The Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia has not picked a new attorney to prosecute that case. Fox 5 has reached out to DA Willis' office and spokesman for comment on this breaking news. Our other top story tonight, the man accused of killing 8-year-old Sakori.
All right, so again, with Fani Willis in this entire situation, there has been reports, and we'll see this moving forward, that Fani Willis was already in trouble regardless of what happened here. Because we know there were conversations that were had and the timing of certain things that took place after her visit to the White House. It's just not a great look overall. So Fulton County DA travel records subpoena. What we know. The newspaper said Friday it had reviewed a federal grand jury subpoena, but the scope of the inquiry was not clear. The Times reported that the subpoena requests information on international travel Willis may have taken around the time of last year's election. The subpoena reported by the Times seeks details of Willis's travel in the fall of 2024, fall of last year. This is a separate from the trips discussed in a motion filed in January 2024, January of last year, which sought to disqualify Willis from the Trump election interference case. What we don't know. It was also unclear whether Willis is the target of the investigation. Obviously, she is. The inquiry is being led by the Office of the U.S. Attorney Theodore Hertzberg, in the Northern District of Georgia. His office declined immediate comment, as did the Justice Department. Jeff DeSantis, a spokesperson for Willis, told the New York Times, "We have no comment beyond the fact we have no knowledge of any investigation." Well, you finna find out. Okay, we're not going to get into the history of that. I want to do a rewind for you guys and kind of paint the picture of what could have led up to this, and most likely a lot of the evidence that's going to be reintroduced not only into future indictments, but the reason they started this investigation in the first place. So let's go back to March of last year when it was reported by Newsweek this. Fani Willis met with Kamala Harris before indicting Donald Trump. And I've talked about this so much on this channel because I think this is going to be very important moving forward with a lot of these indictments. What happened here? Let's find out.
Can you confirm whether or not Ms. Willis or Mr. Wade were coordinating with the Biden White House in the course of this investigation and prosecution?
Shout out to Ashley
the
Mercer.
Discovery, they've got a lot of our discovery involves the January 6th. I mean, a lot of what we have in Discovery is the same stuff that other places have. So they had to have gotten it from somewhere. And they also, they read a lot of the testimony. They played testimony in the special purpose grand jury. So, I don't know how they got all of that, but they got it somehow. And then, there's one of the other things I did was I did open records for the White House access, and we had records that Ms. Willis and the mayor of Atlanta were at meeting with the vice president.
Okay, and so this is
met
the
with the
access,
vice president.
History. How does that work? The White House keeps records of anybody that comes in and has any kind of official meeting for sure?
Yes, and my understanding is it's highly regulated who can access the White House, and so you have to apply in person or apply ahead of time, and then they give you a time when you make the appointment, and they give you a time when you're allowed to be in and when you have to be out by, and they track you. And I mean, that makes sense. They don't want anybody lingering in the White House, but they keep that, and so they're called WAVE records, I believe is what they're called, and I'm not sure what that's an acronym for, but they're publicly available. They're open records.
And this record that's shown on the screen shows Fani Willis was a visitor with V. POTUS. I presume that's Vice President of the United States?
Yes, it was.
And what was the date of that back in, was that February sometime of 23?
February 28, 2023.
Is that before the indictment?
Yes.
Okay. Any further
Ain't great
explanation of why Ms. Willis was meeting with the Vice President of the United States?
No. I know Dexter Bonds, and I believe that's the same one that I think it's Dixon, the mayor of Atlanta, was also there.
Yeah. So again, coincidences? No, not a coincidence that just before President Trump was indicted, Fani Willis and Andre Dickens were at the White House. Fani Willis had a White House meeting with Vice President Kamala Harris before indicting Donald Trump, a lawyer has claimed during a Georgia Senate hearing. That lawyer is the Honorable Attorney Ashley Merchant. The claim has since been vehemently denied by White House officials who say that Willis was attending an event for Black History Month and never met with Kamala Harris.
Stop the cap.
Attorney Ashley Merchant showed the committee the White House records detailing that Willis, the district attorney for Fulton County, Georgia, was in the White House on February 28th of 2023 before indicting Donald Trump and 18 others in August for allegedly interfering with the 2020 presidential election result in Georgia. President Joe Biden won the 2020 election with Harris as his vice president. Willis was elected DA as a Democratic candidate. Merchant said the White House records she obtained showed that Willis had the meeting with Harris in the company of Atlanta Mayor Andre Dickens, a Democrat. A White House official said last February, Vice President Harris hosted a Black History Month reception at her residence in partnership with Black Entertainment Television. Shout out to BET. The official said that hundreds of Black leaders from across the country attended the event, that the vice president did not get the opportunity to speak directly with the majority of guests, including District Attorney Fani Willis.
Stop the cap.
I don't believe in coincidences. Come on, y'all. Trump has pleaded not guilty to all 13 election interference charges against him in Georgia and said the case is politically motivated because he is the front runner for the GOP presidential nomination. Merchant, a lawyer for Trump's co-accused Michael Roman, was speaking before the Georgia Senate Special Committee on Investigations about alleged ethical violations by Willis. Merchant maintains that Willis only hired attorney Nathan Wade as a special prosecutor because they were in a relationship and that Wade had never prosecuted a case before. What? He was unqualified. DEI cannot save you this time, Mr. Wade. Both Willis and Wade accept that they were in a relationship, but say it started after she was hired him for the Trump case.
Stop the cap.
I'm not going to get back into that. We've already been through that situation. I want to know what you all think about this in the comments and in the chat. It's clear Fani's been subpoenaed. They want to know where she was, what she was doing. Is this laying the foundation for something bigger? Is this just a protocol? They're going through their steps, trying to build a case for someone else. I want to know what y'all think is going to happen here. Saw this coming from 10 miles away.